In the Chinese entertainment world, few names shine as brightly as Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. Their rise to global fame through the Untamed created not only an unforgettable drama, but also a bond between two actors whose lives changed forever. But in 2025, a strange coincidence shook the entire fan world. On the same day, at almost the same hour, both of their studios released powerful anti-rumor statements. And that was all it took. The internet exploded. The fans started whispering. Videos titled, "Is something going on?" spread everywhere. Threads, theories, breakdowns, it became a storm. This article tells the story of that day, not as a piece of journalism, but as a cinematic, emotional Kdrama. A tale of pressure, destiny, misunderstandings, and the rare moment two stars moved at the exact same time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion. It began like any other summer morning in July 2025. The entertainment industry was busy, loud, and messy as usual. Rumors floated in the air, baseless ones, exaggerated ones, and the usual fan wars that never really died. Wang Yibo was at a racetrack that morning, dressed in a black racing suit, helmet tucked under his arm. The sky over Shanghai was heavy with clouds, the kind that promised rain. But his expression was calm, unreadable, as always. His assistant approached quietly. "Yibo, it's starting again." He didn't even look up. He didn't have to. He already knew. The rumors never really stopped. Some days were better. Some were unbearable. But that morning, the online attacks were harsher, darker, more personal. Meanwhile, across the city, Xiao Zhan was in a rehearsal room, practicing a slow, emotional scene for an upcoming project. Bright studio lights shined on him as he repeated a line over and over, adjusting tone, expression, and breath. He was the type to chase perfection until it hurt. But even perfection couldn't silence the online world. His phone vibrated on a nearby table. Once, twice, 3 times. His manager picked it up, frowning deeply. "Zhan, we need to talk." "They're pushing again." Harder than before. Xiao Zhan closed his eyes for a moment. He didn't need to ask who they were. He didn't need details. He just felt the weight, returning like a shadow. And somewhere in the space between them, between a racetrack and a rehearsal room, between two lives running in different directions, a storm was preparing to break. Rumors can hurt. Rumors can twist truth into something unrecognizable. And rumors, when left alone, can burn reputations, careers, friendships. By noon, both studios had seen enough. 12:47 p.m., Wang Yibo Studio. They released a post. Firm. Direct. A message calling out malicious accounts, demanding responsibility, announcing legal action. 1:02 p.m., Xiao Zhan Studio. 15 minutes later, another announcement appeared. Similar tone. Similar strength. Similar frustration. 2 statements. 2 battles. 2 shields raised at the exact same time. The internet didn't hesitate. Are they coordinating? Something is going on between them. This can't be coincidence. What happened behind the scenes? The storm burst open. Fans on both sides panicked. Some celebrated. Some speculated. Some started building entire storylines from those 2 posts. Within hours, hashtags climbed the hot search rankings. Reaction videos appeared. New rumors were born from statements that were meant to stop rumors. But inside the lives of those 2 men, the situation was different. Much quieter. More personal. More painful. Wang Yibo sighed. After the studio statement, Yibo was sitting alone on a folding chair near the track. The sky had finally opened, letting rain fall in violent sheets. His helmet sat beside him. His gloves dripped with water. His hair flattened against his forehead. His racing crew left him alone. They knew when to give him space. He scrolled through comments, his face unreadable, but his chest tightening as he saw attacks targeting not only him but people close to him. People who never asked to be dragged into chaos. He clenched his jaw. He had chosen this path. He had chosen fame. He had chosen visibility. But others hadn't. And that was why he had pushed his studio to speak. Not for himself. Not for rumors. but for those who were getting hurt simply because their names were connected to his. Xiao Zhan sighed. Xiao Zhan sat in a quiet makeup room, staring at his reflection in the mirror. The lights were warm, but his fingers were cold. He had seen fan wars before. He had seen online attacks before. His career had survived storms that could have destroyed anyone else. But this time, something felt different. The comments were more invasive. The fabrications were spreading faster. People he cared about were dragged into narratives they didn't deserve. His manager placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We'll handle it, but you need to rest. You haven't slept properly in days." Xiao Zhan smiled a tired smile. "Rest? I almost forgot what that feels like." He wasn't angry. He was simply exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that sits deep inside the bones. While they wrestled with real emotions, the internet created a drama of its own. A fan-made timeline. Post-analyses. "You won't believe this coincidence" videos. Compilation edits showing moments of them together in the past, edited with dramatic music. Even neutral viewers got involved. Why the same day? Did they talk? Did something happen behind the scenes? Are they protecting each other? Theories grew wilder by the hour. Some said their fan bases were fighting again, and both studios stepped in. Some said a hidden group was spreading coordinated attacks. Some said the two actors privately agreed to fight back together. Of course, none of these theories were confirmed. But online, confirmation doesn't matter. Emotion does. Drama does. Mystery does. And so, the digital K-drama wrote itself. What people didn't see was the private weight both actors carried. They weren't enemies. They weren't allies. They weren't playing games. They were two human beings doing their jobs in an industry where silence is often the only defense. Late that night, after the noise faded just a little, Xiao Zhan sat on his balcony, looking at the city lights. He wondered for a moment if the world would ever let him just be an actor again, not a symbol or a battlefield. At the same time, miles away, Wang Yibo sat in his dimly lit living room, his racing jacket hanging over a chair, his tea cooling beside him. He wondered if the world would ever allow him to live without being watched through a magnifying glass. Neither of them spoke publicly about the coincidence. But perhaps they didn't need to. Some stories don't need words to be understood. In this fictionalized K-drama version of events, imagine this. A late-night message. A simple one. Not long. Not dramatic. Just a quiet acknowledgment between two people who lived through the same storm on the same day. Rough day. Yeah. Hope you're holding up. You too.
No dramatic reunión.
No big confrontation. Just two lives touching lightly before moving in their own directions again. And maybe that was enough. The next day arrived with a softer sky. The storm had quieted. The internet had found new topics. New dramas. New controversies. But something lingered from the previous day, a sense that fate had moved in a small, meaningful way. Wang Yibo returned to racing, the wind against him like a reset button. Xiao Zhan returned to filming, losing himself in the art he loved. Both continued forward. Both stayed silent. Both carried on with a quiet strength only they understood. And fans, even the ones who argued, even the ones who created theories, carried the memory of that day. A day when two stars moved at the same time, and the world stopped to watch. This is not a story about truth or evidence. It is a K-drama style retelling, inspired by the real moment when both studios released anti-rumor statements on the same day. A coincidence in reality. A drama in the hearts of fans. In the world of stardom, timing is everything. And on that day, their timing was perfect enough to ignite imaginations everywhere. Maybe fate wasn't sending a message. Maybe it was just a small reminder. Even stars who walk different paths sometimes move under the same sky. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion. The world thought the storm was over, but storms never truly end in the entertainment industry. They simply wait. After the day both studios released their anti-rumor statements, something strange happened. Not loudly, not publicly, but quietly, beneath the surface where only insiders could feel the shift. In the following days, media offices began noticing a pattern. Reporters who had spent years looking for the next big scandal suddenly found themselves blocked from certain back channels. Influential bloggers who thrived on exaggeration noticed that their posts were being flagged faster than ever. Even gossip groups on private forums felt the tension. It wasn't fear. It wasn't silence.
It was respect.
Because when two of the biggest stars in Asia release statements on the same day, the industry listens. Inside a small editorial office in Beijing, a junior reporter whispered to her colleague, "Do you think they coordinated it? Like a secret alliance?" Her colleague shook his head. "Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't dare push baseless rumors about them right now. Not after that." People didn't know the truth, but they knew the impact. And sometimes impact is louder than answers. 2 weeks later, fate decided to play another quiet trick. Both actors were scheduled for the same industry gala, a high-profile event, televised, watched by millions. Neither of them chose the date. Neither asked to attend. Their studios simply accepted based on their commitments. But when the guest list leaked online, the internet exploded again. They're appearing at the same event. Is this destiny again? Don't tell me something is happening. But inside the industry, the question was different. Would they cross paths? Would they acknowledge each other? Would the cameras catch even the smallest interaction? Xiao Zhan arrived first, wearing a crisp black suit, tailored perfectly, hair-styled in soft waves that made him look like he stepped out of a classic drama. He bowed politely to every staff member. He greeted every makeup artist. He carried the calmness of someone who could smile even when he was tired. Not long after, Wang Yibo arrived. Black boots, dark jacket, silver earrings reflecting the backstage lights. He moved with quiet confidence, the type that didn't ask for attention but earned it effortlessly. For a moment, it felt like time and destiny were holding their breath. The staff noticed. Everyone noticed. Two names, two legacies, two storms that once collided in the digital world. Now, walking the same hallway, there was a moment, tiny, fleeting, almost impossible to catch. When their schedules overlapped, Xiao Zhan was exiting a rehearsal room. Wang Yibo was heading toward the stage for soundcheck. Only a thin curtain separated the two hallways. Only a few seconds of difference. Only a few footsteps apart. A production assistant whispered to her friend. They almost crossed paths. Her friend exhaled dramatically. Almost? I would have fainted if they did. The world didn't know it, but behind the scenes, these small moments created earthquakes. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because nothing did. Silence can be louder than chaos. And this silence had weight, history, and unspoken emotions. During the gala, both actors delivered outstanding performances. Xiao Zhan sang with a voice full of emotion, soft at first, then powerful, sending a wave of warmth through the audience. Wang Yibo performed a dance segment so sharp, so controlled, so confident that even the judges watched with fascination. They never shared the stage. They never spoke. They never looked at each other. But a camera caught something. Something very small. A moment when Xiao Zhan, backstage, paused to watch a monitor showing Wang Yibo's performance. Just a second. Just the smallest acknowledgement. And later, when Xiao Zhan was performing, another angle showed Wang Yibo glancing toward the screen. Not obviously, not dramatically, but enough for attentive fans to notice. The clips went viral. They're watching each other. Don't tell me fate is doing this again. My heart can't take this. This is too much like a Kdrama. But none of these reactions compared to the uproar that came next. After the gala aired, a blogger posted a blurred photo that appeared to show the two actors in the same frame backstage. It wasn't clear. It could have been anyone. But the internet didn't care. The image spread everywhere. Comment sections exploded. Fan edits multiplied. Discussion channels overflowed. Media outlets started asking, did they meet backstage? Was the timing coordinated? Is the coincidence becoming a pattern? And once again, their silence added fuel to the fire. Neither studio commented. Neither actor acknowledged it. But online, silence is never empty. Silence becomes imagination. Imagination becomes story. Story becomes belief. Later that night, after the gala, both men went home individually. Xiao Zhan sat on his sofa, exhausted, makeup wiped off, hair falling naturally over his forehead. He replayed the night in his mind. Not the rumors, not the social media reactions, but the feeling of being on stage, doing what he loved. He whispered softly, "I just hope people see the work, not the noise." Meanwhile, Wang Yibo stood at his balcony, city wind brushing past him. He wasn't the type to overthink, but even he noticed the strange timing of recent events. Two statements on the same day. Two storms rising at the same time. Two schedules aligning without effort. He leaned on the railing, looking down at the lights below. Coincidence, or just the world messing with us again? He didn't have an answer. Neither did anyone. But destiny has a habit of repeating patterns. Insiders knew something fans didn't. The entertainment world is small. Much smaller than the public believes.
People cross paths. People share teams.
People avoid each other to prevent rumors. People move in ways that protect their careers. Behind closed doors, managers spoke quietly. "We need to keep them separate. Their names together attract too much attention." Another replied, "But destiny keeps arranging these moments. We can't control everything." A producer added, "Maybe the world isn't ready for another storm, but storms don't ask for permission." In that conversation, a strange truth emerged. The worry wasn't about conflict. It wasn't even about competition. It was about the weight their names carried. A weight so intense that even coincidence looked like fate. The continuation of this story doesn't end with clarity. It doesn't end with a meeting. It doesn't end with a decision. Instead, it ends with possibility. A possibility that no matter how far they walk, no matter how separate their careers seem, no matter how much silence stands between them, the world will always be watching. Because some connections don't need confirmation. Some destinies don't need proof. Some stories write themselves, even without dialogue. And as both of them drift into the night, unaware of how their names continue to intertwine, one thing becomes clear. The world hasn't seen the last coincidence. Not by a long shot. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story to keep the light burning for truth and compassion.